a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host for the day, Alex BlackBelt Lima, filling in for your consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. And you know what we do here on the show? We bring you experts from all different areas, people that know exactly what's going on in the communities and in their industries. And we try to inform you so you can make more empowered buying decisions and really see where it is that you want to be spending your time and effort paying attention to things. So in the house today, we have a stellar lineup per the usual. We have Jared Parker with Regional Economic Consulting. I apologize, Regional Economic Consulting. We also have attorney Patrick Smith in the house. And somebody who I've been dying to interview and talk to for a while. Not that I don't love these guys, but I love food, especially New Orleans style food. I want to talk to Douglas Clark, owner of Ours Creole and master chef over there. I got to get some ideas on how to cook crawfish. I'm going to talk to him later. But before we do and we kick it with the show, I'm going to go ahead and introduce some of the properties to you that are available from the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams, Brandon and Lindsay's #1 real estate team here in Florida, the Platinum MVP team. We have 6026 100th Avenue East. This is a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 3,000 square feet in beautiful Parrish, Florida. It's completely screened in with an oversized lanai, upgraded bathrooms with tile and floating vanity with the European sink cabinets, rock landscaping, large tiled kitchen island, 2 new AC units with warranty. That's important. 4-foot fencing going around. You got a large walk-in with a master shower. Wood laminate flooring in the main area, ceiling fans, granite countertops, and glass tile backsplash in the kitchen, and a butler's pantry. I've said it before, all you need is the butler and you're good to go. That is 6026 100th Avenue East in Parrish, Florida. Another beautiful property we'd like to showcase for you is 501 Haben Place. That's Haben, Haben. Sometimes my Cuban Miami Spanglish accent doesn't let me enunciate the word properly. So you have 501 Haben Boulevard, Unit 803 in Palmetto, Florida. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, flexible office space in addition to that. That is 1,543 heated square feet. The kitchen showcases real wood cabinets, granite countertops, and stainless steel appliances. You have sweeping panoramic views extending from the Manatee River to the Riviera Dunes Marina, as well as the tranquil community lake. The amenities include a heated pool, climate-controlled storage, under-building parking, and a picturesque putting green, and an entertainment patio, hurricane impact windows and sliders, and the community features an electronically guarded entrance. The possibility of a rental or purchase of the slips at the Riviera Dunes Marina as well is included with that. That is 501 Haben Boulevard, Unit 803 in Palmetto, Florida. And you can see all the properties available from the Platinum MVP team at platinumcoastalelite.com. Buy dirt. Where's that, Jose?
Buy dirt. Find the one you can't live without.
There it is. Buy dirt. You can buy dirt with us too. Platinum MVP team. Jared Parker, Regional Economic Consulting. Welcome back, man.
Oh, thank you for having me again. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, man, it's cool. You know, the last couple of times that I've seen you on the show, I think I was doing the production. I've seen you come in at least like 3 or 4 times, and man, really interesting the stuff that you do. I didn't even realize this was. I mean, obviously the economy and things are ultra important and critical to everything we do as a society and stuff. But your job is very unique. Your role in that rather is very intricate. So if you can please inform the listeners a little bit about your background and what it is you do.
Yeah, so I am an economic consultant. We started about 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago, August of 2019.
Wow.
Prior to that, I was actually in the legislature, and I did that for about 10 years. We would run numbers, economic impacts tied to the legislation that was going through session at the time. The idea behind that is to get a price tag for every kind of bill that could or could not go into law. And, you know, lobbyists then take that and they argue for or against it. Back in 2019, early 2019, I left. I partnered up with a deputy chief economist coming out of the Florida governor's office.
Wow.
And he had served everybody from Jeb Bush up to a year with DeSantis. And
Wow.
We thought we had a pretty good, we knew we had a good product, and this is something that's just not done on the private side, not to the degree that we do it. So we teamed up, and here we are. Now, again, 4 years into it, we've done everything from projects on rent control to economic development down in Bradenton. We've done projects for some of the community colleges over in Indian River. Some of our bigger clients, you know, are the private schools, the not-for-profits, which include schools like Miami to University of Tampa to just a lot of major institutions. been a lot of fun.
Yeah. So who typically other than you guys, it's being like kind of like a, I don't want to say like, I guess like contracted,
Hmm.
right? Who typically would handle those things normally to do those type of assessments and stuff?
Before that, a lot of it, well, they have what are called licensed economic developers.
But
Uh,
in house though, right? Like is it
some of them,
typically
some of
okay?
them are in house. Some of the companies, like if an association comes to us, there was nobody before that could really do this. You'd
Yeah.
have to go hire a contractor professor
Mm.
out of a college, or go that route
Oh, okay.
with the association. So the associations were kind of tied there. A lot of them just never did do it, and a lot of these guys felt that we have the relationships through our lobbying team that we don't really need numbers per se. Data's changed everything.
Yeah.
So now we offer them an opportunity and an alternative to sit there and come in and say, let's actually apply data to policy and make decisions on returns on investment, and that's pretty potent when it comes to help pushing legislation. And then beyond that, the cities, they would have in-house guys, and they would also use the certified economic developers.
Yeah.
But it's not the same thing as being a full-blown economist, because it takes 7-8 years of education just to get to this point,
Yeah.
and then you need another 10 to 15 years of experience working this field. And there's a lot of new avenues that we can show that they can't necessarily, because it's just, we can apply economic theory to what are called static impacts. So
Okay.
if I'm going to sit there and say, this property is going to produce X amount of jobs in the economy, I can go in there and I can look at it, I can forecast it, I can sit there and I can say, well, there's cannibalization taking place where this project is actually stealing from this project over here.
Yeah.
I can get into the weeds that those fields can't necessarily.
Yeah. So I'm sure it's a combination of both, but primarily the clientele that would reach out to you, is it the majority of it a lot of new, like being built from the ground up businesses and stuff like that, or is it a lot of already established that are like they want to make changes? Or
A lot of it's established,
okay.
but with the development stuff, I mean, these are cities, some of them that have come to us, institutions like the schools.
Yeah.
One school we're working with right now, they're doing a $252 million expansion that's going to look at bringing on mental health care for veterans. It's going to look on building a restaurant. It's going to look at bringing in a osteopathic college
Wow.
of medicine.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's an established institution. The city of Bradenton is a big client of ours. That's another established institution. But then sometimes we have just random guys that like working with policy, and they've got this idea, and they need some numbers tied to it to help promote in the legislature. They might have, they have their sales guys, which are your lobbyists and whatnot. But the lobbyists, this is a new idea. This is a new field that nobody's ever approached for. So the lobbyists might not have experience on it.
Yeah.
And they need some kind of baseline to help push that idea forward.
You got to make informed decisions, and
Right.
you need data in order to make informed decisions. That's for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah. Good stuff. Jared Parker, Regional Economic Consulting. Where are you based out of? Like, where's your HQ? Like, where people reach out to you?
2 places. So
Okay.
Tampa's our main office is in South Tampa.
Okay.
Right off Henderson and Swan. Our other semi-office is up in Tallahassee. I've got 2 economists, 2.5 economists up there. One we contract, but then the other 2 are full time. And then I've actually got economists over in Orlando, and then here in Tampa, I've got 3 here in Tampa.
How big is your team overall right now?
Right now, we have 5 direct employees.
Okay.
And then we have another 4 subs that will rotate in based on the demand at the time. Normally, we're not using any more than 7 employees at a time.
Yeah. You want to keep it manageable to delegate tasks and oversee things. Yeah. That's
Keep
the
it-
magic number, 5 to 7.
Yeah, 5 to 7, depending on the topic.
Yeah. I'm a numbers guy for some things. Yeah. Yeah. Man, so you had said some things, but we had some talking points. We had something going on with housing, the U.S. economy. What go ahead, break it down for our listeners, some of the stuff we were going to bring in.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the big ones, one of the interesting topics I think right now is rent control. There's a real big push nationally because they're seeing kind of like what Florida just got out of was this huge increase in rents, and they've kind of been tapering off a little bit here. They're not going down by any means, but they're not going up as fast.
Right.
There's a lot of states that are now experiencing what Florida was a couple years ago. So we had a state reach out, Maryland, that came to us. They saw some of the work we did with the Florida Association of Realtors on helping block rent control in Florida and getting a bill passed last session. So now we're doing some work with Maryland, and kind of built this economic model for them that shows.
What did that entail? What did you have passed that like started to put like, hey, you guys got to pump the brakes on this increasing of rents constantly?
So there was in Orlando wanted to institute rent control here in Florida,
Okay.
and part of the law is it has to go to ballot, has to go to local ballot, and they also need to prove that there's a crisis. So they hired a consultant to sit there and say that there's a rent crisis, and actually the consultant didn't quite agree with the city, so that was another ordeal. But the realtors was worried. Well, if Orlando's doing this, what if other local governments do it? Because it does cause a lot of economic damage. We went in there and we produced a study that looked at all the major cities in Florida and said, this is the impact of Tampa, this is the impact of Orlando, this is the impact of Miami.
You got comps. Yeah.
And so that helped. They published our study when they pushed the language through.
Wow.
And the bill got overwhelmingly passed into law.
What was their argument? What was the definition per them of a crisis that justifies raising rates and stuff?
It's in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
The idea is that if you have what are called vacancy rates,
Yes.
So if that vacancy rate gets too tight, let's say you're talking. I mean, in Orlando's case, I think it was 5% or 6%. So you had 94% of all the available properties are rented.
Yes.
And the remaining. So if that number gets too tight, that can then creates a lot of price pressure, and that's the crisis.
That's crazy though, that the answer per them would be to like, we're having a hard time renting out these properties. Let's raise the pricing of the people that are paying. That's going to work out well.
Yeah, well that's what they end up. Well, no, that rent goes up, right?
Yeah.
And then they sit there and they say, okay, well let's cap it. So then if you cap the rent, what happens is rent sends a signal to the developers to build. If that rent's no longer going up, that ROI for those developers to build. Now, that doesn't mean they're not necessarily going to build a full complex, but they might build, 2 or 3 floors less.
Something, yeah.
And that'll add up. And what happens is you kill the supply. And if you kill the supply, you make the rent.
Supply chain, everything. Yeah, it's a trickle-down effect.
Yeah, so it trickles over to the rent. So you get a situation where, in the case of Florida, they just didn't build. I think we calculated something like 40,000 units, which almost represents a full year of just not constructing.
That was in Florida. That
they would have lost.
Wow.
Yeah, to the entire state. In the case of Maryland, their rent's not going up nearly as fast as ours.
Yeah, but they can foresee that, hey, this could be a thing, so they want to nip it.
And they want to nip it in the bud, but we are also showing them that look, your rent's not growing very fast. And if you put this cap in there, if it bounces against the cap just 1 year, let's say it hits it, it creates such a supply disruption that your old rent, if you never put in rent control, is going to be higher, but not quite as high as the cap. So it's almost like you're creating this situation where you're floating between what the rent would have been without rent control is higher because it's not quite at the cap, but it's still higher than what rent would have been. And that also takes money out of people's pockets, and it has the opposite effect of what you intended, which was to lower rent.
Yeah.
So it's the Maryland thing is really interesting too, because it's a lot of people are not moving to Maryland. In fact, they're moving out in some cases, and in other cases the population's flat.
Yeah.
So, but property is so expensive up there that people are shifting from single family homes to multifamily homes. So you get that price pressure.
They just want more for their money. They want more for their money, and they want to have some in their pocket, which is obviously it's a natural thing to want that.
Right, and they want to be closer to where their job is and whatnot, convenience. And it's those are putting price pressures there that they're seeing. But the solution is to let the price go up, let the developers sit there and say, oh, hey, I can make a lot of money off building more units.
Yeah.
And then the developers go in and you'll fix the problem in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
It's the immediate now that is the impetus to saving money creates a longer term problem than the solution's worth.
Yeah, it sounds increasingly problematic actually when you have companies like BlackRock and stuff that want to come in and just like have a monopoly over everything because then they have the bargaining chips. And that's especially sounds really bad.
Especially single family. I mean, they want to buy up all that, and they want some of the cases they want to turn it into rental units. Yeah. But who's renting? It's tend to be younger families. It's tend to be lower income, and they're all going to apartments. They're not necessarily going to rent a full single family home. Yeah,
I mean, we're not necessarily. I mean, it could also be people that they're not sure where they want to settle yet. Right. But overall, it is people typically that are. But I don't know, because then the whole I don't know how prominent it is now because I've been a homeowner for a while now. But I remember, I lived in apartments for a very long time, and the whole condo conversion thing started kicking off. Yeah. Where now you've been living in an apartment for whatever. Hey, I've been here 8 years, whatever it may be, 5 years, doesn't matter. And then all of a sudden they're like, well, here's the deal. If you want to keep living here, you now need to purchase this. This now becomes a condo. You know?
Yeah, and that was actually one of the effects we saw. Some of the background research we were doing on the Maryland deal. Is that there was a study done back in the 70s, I think 70s or 80s. They lost 14% of the entire supply. Now, about 2 to 3% of that was just units that weren't built. The rest of it, the other 11%?
Yeah,
that was from people sitting there saying, "I can't make any money off renting. Let me go ahead and dump the property, sell it, and get out." And that's one of the other issues, because that means the impact of rent control isn't just the 2 to 3% that aren't built. It could be 14 to 15% of the entire market.
because then you just got to eat those losses.
Yeah,
you got to eat them. There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
They'd be like, I'm not paying. I'm not doing
yeah.
it.
What's the point? So I don't know. It's an interesting study.
Yeah,
And,
that is pretty crazy.
Yeah,
That's wild.
it's been fun.
We're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, I want to hear some more about you guys have a new product or something. That we'll wait for that. We'll tease on that. Just know that Regional Economic Consulting has a new product they're about to drop here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial.
Cardone, you've been listening to the phenomenal Brandon Rhymes, the Consumer Quarterback Show.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 727-263-3707. Online at consumerqb.com.
Dennis Prager here for Brandon and Lindsay Rhymes, owners of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams. Buying, selling, investing in real estate, their nationwide Keller Williams network makes them the best team to work with. Sellers, have your property featured live on air, creating multiple offers. Buyers, leverage a unique system that gets your offer accepted, never overlooked. Call or text 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550, or consumerqb.com.
I want to give a special thanks to Satellite Phone Store. They just hooked me up with this beautiful satellite phone, and it's a gorgeous phone. It's a great device. It's a safety device as well. Think about it. If you're out on the boat 40, 50 miles out, maybe you're going hunting or you're going hiking in the woods somewhere, you run out of cell phone service, or who knows, maybe a possible terrorist attack. It's not like our politicians aren't entrenched in all this stuff going on overseas, all over the place, all over the world. Could be a terrorist attack. They could attack the power grid. They could attack the cell phones. Who knows what they're going to attack next? Sat123.com/REQB. Sat for satellite, sat123.com/REQB, like real estate quarterback.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
And we're back. Thanks for sticking with us here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host for the day, Alex BlackBelt Lima with BlackBelt Fitness and Martial Arts, filling in for your consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We're going to get back to Jared Parker and Regional Economic Consulting and a new product that they have. But before, I would love to get a shout out to our official restaurant partner, Brio Tuscan Grill here at International Mall right here right across from West Shore, right off West Shore. Brio Tuscan Grill. They have an amazing, from what I hear, it's like Brandon's favorite thing is the salmon salad. And then he gets the spaghetti with meat sauce. And then always spend the extra couple of dollars and get that calamari because it's delicious. Brio Tuscan Grill, one of our official restaurant partners here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'll definitely be there soon, catching some drinks and some food with friends and family. A couple properties we'd like to highlight real quick from the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams. 9749 Little Blue Stem Drive. It's a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2-car garage, 2,334 square feet. 2-story home in the coveted Connerton community. The kitchen has a spacious island, ample counter space, abundant cabinets, walk-in pantry, large backyard with a sheltered rear porch, and it is enclosed by a privacy fence. It has dual pools in the community. One of them is a lap pool, so you can swim some laps, get in shape, with a splash park for the kids, miles of trails, and an on-site elementary school. That's 9749 Little Blue Stem Drive in Lando Lakes, Florida. Another property we'd like to showcase is 7300 Southwind Drive in Hudson, Florida. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,726 square feet. It's the perfect blend of comfort and luxury in a tranquil setting. It's got a lot of parking, concrete parking pad where you can fit a boat, an RV, golf cart. It's a true haven for outdoor enthusiasts. The backyard has a coastal marsh that has wildlife and bird sanctuary right along the Gulf of Mexico there. You will relish in the serene and peaceful ambiance as you immerse yourself in the beauty of nature. You can check out all of our properties available from the Platinum MVP team at platinumcoastalelite.com. All right, Jared Parker, my man. So that was some very interesting information. I didn't realize it was so involved and all the numbers that have to be broken down. But I imagine that it's always the case. So it's nice that there's guys like you that can go out there and bring your team to the table and give people numbers to work with, so they're not just inflating things and manifesting things to get budgets and stuff. So you got a new product. What's that all about?
So a little bit of background. Our former lives as government economists. My partner and I, we used to work on forecasting the entire economy for the state of Florida, and we did it for the state. The state would need it for budget, and the idea was that we did the revenue. They knew all the money that was coming in, and then every single law that was passed had to fit in that budget. So what we have done in the last, I'd say probably 18 months now, we've been working on it, is to develop that same kind of forecasting premises for private sector. And the idea is that we're going to be running full-blown economic model. We'll have something like 300 to 400 actual economic variables that is forecasted by county throughout the entire state. So you'll have everything from, if you're developers, you'll have everything from construction spending that's going to be forecasted. You'll know median housing values in each county. You're going to know the forecast, the outlook for those housing values. You're going to know how many starts, so how many new multifamily homes are being broken ground, how many single-family homes are being broken down. We're going to just kind of spread it out, do exactly what we did for the state, and that data to the state's extremely valuable. And we're going to take it and we're going to spread it by county, statewide, and then offer it on a subscription basis going forward.
Wow, man, that sounds like a massive project, though. Massive. How long have you guys been? I mean, obviously you've done some of that before. So when you got the idea that hey, we're going to take this kind of more public or whatever, or to more people have access to it. When you got that idea, I was like, let's do it. How long have you been working on this?
That part. Let's say we started dabbling like 18 months ago. We started dabbling with it. Then once we really started talking and seeing out how much appetite there is for something like this, and we got overwhelming enthusiasm for it. I'd say it's probably a little over a year, probably 13, 14 months. Wow. Of just nonstop producing forecasts to get this stuff online.
And it's ready to rock now, or you have there's a little bit still, a little bit while before it finally comes out?
It'll be out in about I'd say 4 to 6 weeks.
Oh, that's right around the corner. That's relatively soon.
All the basic pieces and parts are in place. Yeah. And it's going to be something where literally anybody from a developer to a government to a small business or even a medium-sized business company, because a lot of these medium-sized businesses, they have budgets big enough that they need some kind of advanced analytics, but at the same time they don't necessarily have the salary capacity to bring on a full-blown statistician.
Yeah, just doing the basic search isn't going to give you all the numbers that you need.
And this will be all of that at a subscription rate. Plus there'll be access to us to explain how we got here, why we got here, and is there some offshoots we could do to it,
and help to project too, the way it's going to, man. That's awesome. But just a couple seconds left. How do people get a hold of you? When will that be on your website when it becomes available, or like what's?
Yeah, it'll be on our website. It'll be once website's getting revamped, but at www.regionaleconomicconsulting.com. On there, there'll be a full portal to access and pay for the subscription, and then have access to everything that we produce.
That's really cool, man. Jared, thank you for all the information, man. Appreciate you having in the studio.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, so don't touch that dial. Coming up next, we're going to have attorney Patrick Smith and Doug Clark, Hours Creel. Don't go anywhere. ConsumerQB.com.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. Please make sure to send him all of your real estate deals and subscribe